Afternoon and welcome to Second Chance. Second Chance is a weekly talk show that examines a wide range of social issues and seeks to inspire physical, emotional, social, and spiritual healing, believing that God is a God of second chances. And through faith, all things are possible. Second Chance airs live each week from the beautiful campus of Oakwood University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Second Chance radio broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. As always, delighted to be here with you as host and producer of this broadcast that began right here at Praise 90.1 FM in November of 1990. We are celebrating 34 years on the air and we are having the time of our lives. We're grateful each Sunday when you take this time and this opportunity to choose to spend with us. We never take that for granted. And we know that this afternoon, people are listening on the air all over in different places. And I want to acknowledge you at this time. There are those who are listening at 90.1 FM on the radio, of course. And you're now benefiting, some folks at least, are benefiting from that now 33,000 watt power that's pushing the sound and the music and all the other great inspirational stuff to you right now. Perhaps you are just becoming familiar with WJOU 90.1 FM. We welcome you to the broadcast this afternoon. Maybe you're listening somewhere around the world today on WJOU.org, and we welcome each and every one of you wherever you may be listening to the broadcast. And we do hear from you from time to time, so thank you for letting us know that you're listening. And, of course, we're going to invite you, if you're listening on the radio right now, if you're listening on the internet right now, to hop over to the live stream at YouTube or Facebook on Praise 90.1 FM, because it will be a great opportunity for you to be able to take advantage of the great information that we share today. You'll get a chance to actually see the things that we're doing today and also participate as well. And of course, we're always grateful to have that opportunity with you on Sunday afternoon. It is Sunday, February the 9th. I'm excited. It's still Black History Month, in case you didn't realize that. And, of course, I'm going to be rocking a different look every week in honor of Black History Month. On last week, I was rocking the red, black, and green, and those that were watching online saw me doing that. And that was in celebration of HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. Today, I'm rocking the old Negro Leagues. And this is a jersey that has all of the different teams' logos on the back, and I'm doing that in honor of a couple of things, Black History Month, but also the fact that as I look at the calendar, it's the 9th of February, pitchers and catchers are reporting. That means that spring training is on the way, and my favorite sport is about to begin, and that is Major League Baseball. I'm excited about that. Of course, there's been a lot going on with not just Major League Baseball, but the National Basketball Association. And we'll, of course, continue to have great conversations around that. And then, of course, we also know that today there's a big game taking place. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Why are you in the studio today, Kenny Anderson? It's because of my passion, my loyalty, and my dedication that I find myself here at the studio. Of course, the game starts a little bit later. And if you're rooting for those Kansas City Chiefs or you're rooting for those Philadelphia Eagles, best to you. I had a miserable NFL season this year because I am, of course, a New York Giants fan. And we went nowhere this year, but hopefully we'll come out a little bit better in the draft. There is a team that went somewhere this year, but they didn't quite get to carry it across the line. The Buffalo Bills. And joining me this afternoon is perhaps the person I know to be one of the biggest Buffalo Bills fans. He is none other than Dr. Michael Brown. And I get to call him Dr. Michael Brown because I am so happy for his accomplishments, but even more so I get to call him friend. He is founder and president of an organization that you need to know about. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about that today and the work that he does. It's called MBD Consulting Agency. He's the founder of this agency and serves as its president. Now, before founding this awesome consulting agency, he completed a 20-year career with the Buffalo Police Department in the great city of Buffalo, New York, just a little bit north of where I lived in New York City. Serving as the detective from 1999 to his retirement in 2008, he worked in a robbery squad, special frauds unit, general investigations unit, and a narcotics squad. Upon retiring, he joined Securitas, Security Service USA, first as an account manager for Toyota Motor Manufacturing of Alabama, until he was promoted to branch manager for the Huntsville, Alabama branch, which encompasses northern Alabama and eastern Mississippi. He worked in this capacity until October 2012, when the foundation was formed for the MDB Consulting Agency, LLC. Now, he holds a Doctor of Business Administration and Homeland Security Leadership and Policy from National University. He's also a member of the American Society of Industrial Security International and earned the Certified Professional Certification issued by the organization. He's married to my good friend, Dr. Angela Wright Brown. He has a son, Chauncey, my dude, and daughter-in-law, Sonia, and twin grandchildren, Chauncey Jr. and Savannah. Congratulations, big ups, and all that good stuff, my brother. What's going on, Doc?
Oh, man, what's going on there, Kenny?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing well, man. Just glad to be here, my friend.
It's good to have you, man. Now, I did mention you're a big Buffalo Bills fan. You guys didn't quite take it across the finish line this year. How you feeling?
Well, I'm still in recovery, but just pray for me.
Hey, listen, man, there's nothing wrong with still being in recovery because they had a good run this year. They just didn't do a couple of fundamental things that needed to be done. One of them, of course, was catch the football at critical times. But that's just a little something teams need to do to win. But
can I say one thing about just a little bit about the refs and those questionable spots? I mean, can I just say a little bit about that?
Man, say what you need to, man, because
oh my God, 3rd down, we get the 1st down. They marked it short. 4th down, Josh Allen gets the 1st down. They mark it short. I'm like, oh my goodness, too much to overcome.
Yeah, kind of like the 12th man on the field who shouldn't be on the field. There should be a penalty.
Yeah.
But you don't feel real good when those things are happening either. And, there's no real way to know that, but there's always this mass sense of a conspiracy theory that sometimes, and I'm not saying people are doing this illegally, like they're getting paid off, but it's almost like there is a tendency to kind of favor an outcome at times, and it's just real suspect, Referee's a hard job. Let's accept that also. But
but when you got the replay and you still get it wrong, I'm like, okay. What do you do with that?
Hey man, look, it kind of comes back at you, and that's unfortunate. Let's dive into our conversation today. And I'm so glad that you're here because we are and have been living in troublesome times. And
absolutely.
I'm so glad to have you here today because from the perspective of being proactive about the topic that we're going to engage in today, I think you're the perfect person to address these particular issues that we're going to talk about. And today, folks, we're going to basically talk a little bit about church security as well as active shooting responses. And of course, look, we both grew up in the church and, all I wanted to do was hang out with my friends when I was younger and maybe grab something to eat afterwards. And,
right, absolutely.
Got older, got baptized, and of course, became a little bit more conscientious about my faith and my walk with God. And it just seemed like a very innocent, benign thing to do to go to church. But these days, it's definitely different. And I want to talk to you about that. Let me set the context for this conversation. Okay. An anti-Black mass shooting and hate crime occurred on June the 17th, 2015 in Charleston, South Carolina. South Carolina, excuse me. 9 people were killed and 1 was injured during a Bible study at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church, Mother Emanuel, the
Mm-hmm.
oldest black church in the southern United States. Among the fatalities was a senior pastor, a state senator, and more. All 10 victims were African Americans. At the time, it was the deadliest mass shooting at a place of worship in U.S. history. 9. Let's fast forward. Just 2 years later, Devin Kelly shot and killed 26 people and wounded 22 others at the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. He was subsequently shot and wounded, then killed himself. It is now the deadliest mass shooting in Texas history and the deadliest at an American place of worship, surpassing the Charleston church shooting of just 2 years before that.
Mm-hmm.
It's sobering, Dr.
Yes, it
Brown,
is. Yes.
just contemplate that going to church now literally should involve knowledge of escape routes, conscientiousness about who's in the space,
Mm-hmm.
and so much more. Talk to me generally, and you come from a law enforcement background, so I want to kind of pull us forward. You worked in law enforcement for many years, and I don't know that this was the kind of case you would work on often or see often.
Okay.
But we have certainly evolved to a time where we're seeing these kinds of shootings so much more than we ever did before. First, from a law enforcement perspective, I want you to discuss this current climate, and then I'm going to kind of pull in the consultant perspective.
Okay. I want to piggyback a little bit on the information that you gave before I dive into that. Since that shooting at Mother Emanuel, there have been 9 mass church shootings in the United States since 2015. So that is an average of 1 mass church shooting a year.
Hmm.
So now here we are in a brand new year in 2025. So according to the law of averages, we're due for a mass church shooting this year.
Mm.
If we're averaging 1 a year ever since that incident.
Wow.
So from a law enforcement and consulting perspective, I just want to sound the alarm and raise the level of awareness and get us out of the complacency and the "it can't happen here" mentality that we hold, and realize that this stuff is happening and there are steps that we can take to not necessarily make you, insulate it from it totally happening, but you can mitigate the impact if it did happen in your house of worship. So that's the standpoint I come from.
And as a person who has a law enforcement background, who you've now acknowledged this is kind of like an expectation to happen at least once a year since 2015, it's almost like, it's unfortunate, but it's like, where will it happen next?
Exactly.
And like you said, the vulnerability to it happening anywhere should cause all of us to be more mindful and conscientious. You, of course, have targeted a lot of your work towards addressing this specific topic with churches. And you recently did a seminar on this very topic. The seminar was free.
Yes.
And open to those who wanted to take advantage. So whosoever will, hopefully they came. 3 strategies to keep your church safe and secure. And we'll talk a little bit more about how other congregations who are listening this afternoon or people who are connected with congregations might want to contact you to come in and do the same kind of thing for them.
Right.
But talk to me a little bit about generally, what are you saying to these congregations about how they approach this landscape and the vulnerability that exists regarding safety?
As I mentioned earlier about the getting past the "it can't happen here" mentality, I do that by showing them that we've been getting by so far on grace and mercy at the churches. But God also will hold you accountable for the light that you have. So once you realize that this is indeed happening, and there's information out there and people such as myself who are making you aware of actions and things that you can do and that you can take to address the problem. Now it's incumbent upon you to act. You have to
Mm,
do something.
mm.
And that involves dealing with active shooter response training, but also dealing with the the physical the physical plant of where your house of worship or your business is. Uh, the exterior, the interior, and what's often overlooked, the policies and procedures that you have in place to train not only the staff but your members at the church, so they will have a more robust and effective response if there is an active shooter or other emergent situation.
So when you go into those environments and people might ask you questions like, what do we specifically need to do? You just laid out some very interesting things that I think are compelling. Just the layout of a facility, knowing where
Mhm,
the egresses are,
mhm,
being mindful of the surroundings, perhaps the time of day, the community
mhm.
that you're in, and all of those
Absolutely.
kinds of things that, could possibly make things vulnerable. And there's so many different layers that are
Mhm.
stacked in this process that people may want to explore. One of the questions that comes up often is, what about armed security? Is that a best practice as it relates to this whole challenge?
Well, it's a practice. It all depends. As some of the factors that you mentioned go into deciding if that is something that's workable for your church, your house of worship. Um, there could be financial constraints to where that may be something that may not be doable for your church. There may be certain policies that your church administration has about having firearms on the grounds on the facility. So it's factors that you have to consider as to whether that is something that's doable for your church. But if you can do it, act an armed security officer or armed law enforcement is indeed a deterrent. It's a tool.
That's a pretty standard thing when I drive past a lot of houses of worship these days. I see a county sheriff or
Mm-hmm.
Huntsville police officer parked outside.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like it's pretty standard fare right now. Let's kind of talk a little bit about the elephant in the room for a minute. Um, we live in a state whose laws permit people to carry firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've really used to help lower my level of vulnerability, and this is across the board, this is walking into a grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
this is walking into an educational facility,
Mm-hmm.
this is walking into a house of worship. My presumption is that everybody's packing. Now, when I say everybody, I'm not saying every single person, because I know every
Mm-hmm.
single person is not.
Mm-hmm.
But my mindset says everybody's packing, which automatically creates a kind of response in that environment in terms of how I engage people, what I'm aware
Absolutely.
of when I'm engaging people. Just talk a little bit about that element, because am I being unreasonable to think that people in the audience are packing?
Oh no, you're being very reasonable. And as you said, that type of culture, a lot of it is regional specific. I mean, certain areas of the country, like I said, that's part of the culture. I mean, teenagers are trained on firearms and how to use them and things of that nature. Whereas you may go to a more liberal area of the country and they frown on that type of capacity for or proliferation of guns. So it all depends where. Now, as you said, here in the South, the mentality is where it's a more open attitude towards carrying firearms. And I agree with what you're saying. You have to think that, of course, not every single person, but you have to think everybody in here is a high probability that they're carrying. And you have to conduct yourself accordingly. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the ideal situation or for you to rely on as a security tool for your house of worship.
Mm-hmm.
That, okay, I know the large percentage of my members are carrying that. You can't rely on that for a lot of reasons. One of them is liability.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that more later.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because that what you were just saying kind of brings up another dimension of this challenge that I think houses of faith are challenged by. The notion that, again, if you live in a state that has open carry laws or has a strong tendency towards Second Amendment rights,
Mm-hmm.
and are more likely than not to be carrying,
Right.
then one way that people kind of approach that is, well, that's going to be my reaction to the process. I'm going to start carrying too, which I don't always think is the best approach in that situation. But talk to me about this, because as a mental health professional, I'm very sensitive to mental health being the default excuse for unfortunate situations where people may be injured or lose their lives.
Right.
I absolutely think mental health or mental illness is in play in some cases. But I think a lot of cases, people behaving badly, who have little discipline, little impulse control, have anger management issues, have little respect for life. I mean, we need to call out the whole spectrum of possibilities and not simply use mental health as the default. What are your thoughts about that?
And a lot of times that is, I hate, for lack of a better term, is a cop-out by some segments of the population. It's a mental health issue. No, it's all those reasons that you say. And also another thing is lack of adequate training is another issue that's not talked about as well, especially with now where that was one thing with the pistol permitting process, where training was mandated in order for you to get your permit and to carry. But now, if you are of a certain age and you don't have any felony convictions, you can just purchase a weapon and carry it. You haven't been trained on the responsibility that goes along with carrying that weapon, because when you pull that weapon and you pull that trigger, you're married to the consequences. And that's not stressed enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Talk to me a little bit about basic active shooter training. If somebody comes in, they have a weapon, what do I do?
Well, are you familiar with, which I'm sure you are, is run, hide, fight?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I teach avoid, deny, and defend. And that comes from the Alert Training Center at Texas State University. And that is more of an active response to active shooter. And it focuses more on the hide portion, in the run, hide, fight is more passive than the deny portion of the avoid, deny, and defend. Because just in your mind's eye, which do you think would be more effective, far as, okay, you go into a room, you hear shooting down the hall, you go into a room, you hide under a desk, and you hope that the shooter does not come into the area where you are, because if he does, it's highly likely you're going to be a victim. But if you're thinking deny, you go into that same room, you lock the door, you look for things to barricade the door. You look for things, if the door opens out, there's highly likely there's a door closer. You could take a belt and tie it around the door closer to prevent the door from being opened out. While you're in there, you're looking for a secondary exit. What if there's a window that you can break out and escape? These are things to where I train you to do something more active, as opposed to just hiding and hoping and praying that he or she does not come into your area. How about taking steps to deny them entry into that area? And then if they come into that area, then you get into the defend portion. And then there's active things you can do in that regard.
Give me an example.
Readying projectiles. Okay, you say you're in an office and you lock the door, barricade, you slide a file cabinet in front of the door, but you see there's things like a fire extinguisher. There's staplers, there's books, there's glasses, there's laptops, things that you can use to defend yourself, to either throw at the suspect, to divert their attention so you can either escape or overtake them. Or, like I said, a fire extinguisher is an awesome tool. You can spray it to take away the shooter's vision, so you can, again, either overtake or escape, or you can use it as a blunt instrument and strike the shooter with that fire extinguisher. But you have to train your mind to be thinking that way, so when the time comes, you have information and tools to draw on to be able to have that type of response.
Yeah, I would imagine a natural response is a sense of terror and fear that tends to paralyze a person or incapacitate them, and also cause them to feel more defensive than offensive. And although you're kind of describing some defensive approaches that can be beneficial, people who are in a position of vulnerability and don't know that they have things available to them to perhaps fight off the attack, place themselves at a less prepared, more vulnerable position as a consequence of that. I love what you said. And maybe even, maybe that goes one step further. Maybe if it's your office, you actually know where certain things are and set it up that way so you have those opportunities. Or if you know other areas of the building, because you might be in a cafeteria or gymnasium or something like that, that you can actually, again, don't experience those things passively. Experience them actively by knowing what's available to you to kind of set you up for success.
And I'm going to piggyback on what you said too, Kenny. It's natural to experience fear. That's natural. But what if you trained your mind for a more effective emotion? When fear comes, you transfer from fear to anger. And you take it personally that person came into your house, your business, your church, and is going to shoot up your church. You convert that to anger. And now you get in your mind, I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to respond. I've been trained, or I've rehearsed in my mind to look for this, to do this, to take this action. These are the active responses that I focus on, as opposed to hiding and hoping and praying.
Yeah. Dr. Brown, you are available to present this awesome information and all of these amazing skills, educational opportunities, and more to faith congregations and other academic institutions and more. How would people reach out to you?
The quickest way is to go right to my website, mdbconsultingagency.com. And there you can go right to the contact us page, send me a message. I will send you a link for you to book an appointment, and we can discuss how we can partner to make your organization, your church, your business more safe and secure.
Give us that website one more time.
mdbconsultingagency.com.
Dr. Michael Brown is the founder and president of MBD Consulting Agency, LLC. He is standing at the ready to be able to help you be better prepared to confront these kinds of challenges. You guys can work with him professional if you want, but I just like to call him friend.
Absolutely.
Now we got to catch up soon, brother.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime.
All right. Good to see you.
You too. You take care now.
All right. Have a good rest of the day.
You too, sir.
All right. Great way to start our show today. Dr. Michael Brown, who is the founder and president of MBD Consulting Agency, LLC, sharing information about active shooter responses, church security, and so much more. We're very glad to have him here today. We'll be back in just a moment with more of our broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson, the Second Chance, and I hope that you're having a fantastic and amazing day.
Save a place for me, save a space for me in your heart.
Every year, the United Negro College Fund helps thousands of students go to college. But for everyone we help, there's one we can't, not without the funds.
Save a place for me.
Please support the United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Call 1-800-332-UNCF.
A message from the Ad Council.
Transforming
lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. It's so good to have you here today on this second Sunday in the month of February. It's Black History Month, and of course, I am excited about that, as I always am, and an opportunity to celebrate the great accomplishments of those who are Black. Of course, Black history is American history, and we should never forget that. And the very foundation of this nation was built on the backs of Black people. So we should celebrate that, not just in the month of February, where we only have 28 days and we get that bonus 29th day every 4 years. We should celebrate it every single day of the year, because we have absolutely been a part of the development of not just this country, but also the world. I'm delighted this afternoon to introduce you to Adrian Hargrove. He's an avid youth mentor, education and mental health advocate, and motivational speaker who has dedicated his life to serving others. He is currently Chief Operations Officer of the Boys and Girls Clubs of North Alabama, a senior consultant and vice president of philanthropy and community involvement with Affinity Recruiting and Solutions, LLC. He's also an anger and emotional management counselor with Aspire Counseling and the men's ministry leader at Oakwood University Church. He's earned his bachelor's degree in business administration, master's degree in public administration. He has an education specialist degree, and he is currently earning his doctoral degree in education. So not only is he all about making people's lives better, but he's all about making his own life better and self-improvement and personal growth. Adrian, how you doing this afternoon, my brother?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, it's great to. So tell me what that means when you say you're doing great. Tell me more. You know, usually I ask people how you doing. I say, I'm doing great, Kenny.
Oh, man, just blessed. You know, mentally feeling great, physically feeling great, spiritually feeling great. Just God has just been so good to me, man. This year is starting off amazing. A lot of new opportunities and things going on, ways to give back and get involved more in my community, in my church. Work is phenomenal. Just everything, too blessed to complain, as they say.
Yeah. I think we're all too blessed to complain. And somehow some people find a way to do that from time to time. And I'm all about helping them, first of all, empathize with the circumstance, but then helping redirect that energy into something much more positive, because there's a lot of negativity in the world today. It can certainly weigh you down. There are a lot of people who are misguided, misdirected, who feel a sense of being lost in this world. And it is important for people who have the ability to help, support them, encourage them, move into their lives without judgment, condemnation, and criticism, to be able to inspire them to the excellence that God has designed them to become and to experience. And so it's really good to have you here today. We're going to talk about a lot of things in the conversation, and a lot of the good work that you're doing on the ground here in Huntsville and beyond. So I'm really, really happy to have you here today. Something I talk about a lot is just the whole element of purpose. I think it is the most important quest in life. I think it's the most important question to ask in life. What is my purpose? Our purpose is typically more than our job title. Our purpose is typically more than the major that we majored in school, or the minor that we minored in, or the job opportunity that I was granted. I want to ask you at the very top of this conversation about that element of purpose. Is it something you think about? Is it something you examine? And what are you discovering along the pathway to discovering your purpose?
Ooh, I would definitely say my tests are my testimony. And God doesn't waste anything. I feel that um, as I've gone along, as I've gotten a little bit older, a little more experience, there were times where I would feel ashamed of times that I bumped my head or made poor decisions. And what I've found is, God is able to use all of that. I'm able to talk to, a lot of my focus is on youth and men. And so just being able to relate, I think it makes you human, makes you more relatable. I'm currently, going through this Bible study, and I'm seeing the Bible in a completely different way, and almost like being able to see the human side of those Bible figures and characters. And it's just like, man, they were going through similar things that I'm going through, all related to our place and time. But just being able to be real with people and say, hey, man, I get it. And so I've been able to embrace those knots and those times that I've stumbled, and being able to relate with not only other men, but young people as well.
Men are socialized to be strong
Yes.
and to hold it up and to hide it. We're socialized in a way that says things to us. It passes messages: be tough, don't cry, don't be vulnerable.
Yeah. Man up.
Yeah, man up. All the stuff that, all the cliches that we've heard and experienced, and even in some instances might have embraced along the way. At this point in my life, in my journey, one of the things I've learned is that the element of transparency is really therapeutic,
Yes.
it is healing, and it is essential.
Absolutely.
And I know you probably feel the same way when you think about the work you do with men and boys in particular. The whole notion of how one shows up authentically and genuinely in a particular space is so valuable and is so important to their own personal growth and development. Can you talk a little bit about that in terms of the journey that you're on?
Again, it's kind of being relatable. So when you're working, if it's a young person, I'm blessed to be with the Boys and Girls Club and have a job that is just in line with what I love to do. And so one of the things our CEO, he says, he's like, I've never worked a day in my life, because it's like every day that we show up there, it's like you're working, you're doing your calling. And so it doesn't feel like work. But just, I would say being able to remove that stigma. So when you're working with a young person or again, like with the man, and you're able to come in and say, you don't have to be tough right now. You don't have to man up right now. And you can say, I'm hurt, I'm sad. One of the things that I do in our first session, with my anger management is I try to illustrate what I say is getting to the heart of the matter, or getting to the root of the matter, and saying, okay, you're coming off as if you were mad. You'll have someone who comes in and say, I've got an anger issue. And I'll say, no, you don't, and it's just like, let's talk about what happened. And once you start talking about it, it's like, okay, so what were you really feeling? And a lot of times, like you were saying, especially as men or boys, you can't talk about that feeling. It's, no, I'm mad. But it's like, no, your feelings were hurt. You were sad, you were disappointed, you felt disrespected. And so just helping them develop the language. I make a joke. I think it's funny, but I always ask them, why do babies cry? And so you'll get all the different things. Oh, they need their diaper change, or they're hungry, or you get all these things. And I said, no, basically they just can't talk yet. So that's pretty much it. Because once they learn how to talk, now they can tell you what it is they need. And I found, especially when I'm working with us men, typically we express that anger, we express that outburst because we have not yet learned how to articulate. exactly what it is we're feeling. And so along my journey, that's been, I think, one of the foundational elements is saying, let's articulate what we're really feeling.
Yeah.
And the more we learn how to articulate and talk about those things, I think the better we can be off.
Yeah, wow. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about a couple of things in my life that I think have been extremely powerful. And one is related to the ability to purge through crying and expressing my um, um, feelings
Mhm.
through a moment in which I'm able to cry. And we know, a lot of people know physiologically that crying is literally therapeutic. It cleanses the body of toxins and other things that will potentially harm our systems, and it gets that thing out of us. And the other thing is, and I'm really embracing this lately, and have over the last few years, but just telling another brother I love you, or another
Yes,
brother saying to me I love you. I
yes.
mean, it's just not how I grew up. It's not what I heard a lot.
Mhm.
But uh, it's something that matters. You know, it's kind of like, it's also a moment of vulnerability, because guys don't typically talk like that. And I'm saying typically, if you're somebody that throws love all around all the time, that's fine. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Brothers don't walk around, I love you, man, and stuff like that, because that's not always interpreted that way. If your dad said it, good. If dad kisses you, fine, you know, but that's not really how guys roll. And so when you express a feeling that is attached to such a powerful emotion like love, and you say that to somebody, especially in a world that is full of all kinds of mixed signals and messages and confusion and sometimes rejection, discrimination, and turmoil and adversity, tell somebody I love you, man. Tell a brother I love you, man. That's powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your ministry. And you have several different branches here. So this is always exciting. Will not be our last time talking, of course, because we want to stay in touch with you as you move forward in this journey. But you're currently the director of men's ministry at the Great Oakwood University Church, and you have big ideas and big plans. Now, the nice thing and the exciting thing about it is that there's one thing to have big ideas and big plans that don't come to fruition, but you are a planner, a strategist, and somebody who wants to implement beyond the point of just talking about stuff. So you have a model for success, and you have an event, the Men's Momentum event.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this event, and why should the brothers start getting excited about it?
Oh man. So my momentum event, we're looking at the month of June. That's Men's Mental Health Month. Um, that's also when I plan to release my book that I'm working on. And it's funny that you just mentioned crying. It is titled "The Courage to Cry."
Cool.
And so it's a journal for men working through those emotions, working through heartbreak, and showing that it actually takes courage to cry. It's
Mm.
not a weakness. Um, but it's just really been inspired by my journey. I am blessed. I am so blessed to be surrounded by a lot of great men. Starting with my father, men like yourself, and just men that I've been able to really glean from and talk to. My boss, Patrick Wynn, we sit down and talk weekly, and not just about work, about life. Um, and so it's just been a real blessing for me. And so it started with things that I was going through personally, and having some conversations with men. And I kept hearing, "Oh, there's nothing for men. Oh, there's nothing for men." The women are killing it. You on social media, the women, they have an event going on. And my good friend, cousin, Tiffany Draper, she's got the Women's Expo. And the Queenpreneur with Miss Latoya Whitfield. It's just the women are showing out. And so I was just like, man, the guys, we got to do something. And constantly you'll hear somebody needs to do something. Somebody needs to do something. And a friend of mine, Reggie Robinson, he was doing a thing called Men's Night Huntsville. I know you have your brothers breaking bread. And so I was just like, you know what, let's just continue on with that. And so I had something on my heart for a while, about tapping in having something for men that addresses, our physical health, emotional health, spiritual, and financial. I think those are all areas that there are some great brothers in town that we can connect with. And so I wanted to create an environment where we can not only get some inspiration and information, but also get some tools, and make some connections so that it doesn't just stop there. The idea is to create something where it continues to flow. So when you leave that event, you've got some phone numbers, you've got some contacts, you've got a financial advisor, you've got a therapist now, you've got a doctor, you've got whatever it is to connect with, because I think sometimes it's just a matter of not knowing that, oh wow, we have that right here in town. So that was my idea. And you and I have had some meetings as you've guided me through this, and so that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
Yeah, you answered part of my next question, but I want you to talk a little bit more about it, because I think it's so important to people who see these kinds of things happening and question the validity of them, or legitimacy of them, the integrity of them. Sometimes people see these things as, oh, it's a one and done. It's going to be something that happens. People are going to kind of come together, feel good, almost like a Super Bowl party. You're going to come and have a great time. We're going to eat. We're going to have fun. Rooting for our teams and that kind of thing. And then we're just going to go. And it's, nothing else is going to happen to the next thing. But I know you, and I know your desire is for connectivity and sustainability. That's extremely important in this kind of work and this kind of ministry. So talk a little bit more about that. And if you have a specific plan for what that looks like, or if that's something that will just come out of this first event that will bring the brothers together.
Right. So the idea is to have the main event, the big event that addresses all of the issues or all of the different areas. And then from that, we'll have the breakouts. So it might be another month or so where we'll say, hey, we're going to have this one that's specifically finance. And so we'll have we'll have all the, experts in the areas of finance, and we'll have an event for that. We'll have another one where it's all the areas of health. So we'll have our doctors, we got chiropractors, heart doctors, prostate, any and everything you can think of. It's like, all right, brothers, what checkups do we need to be having? And if we have questions or fear, I won't put my dad all the way out there, but I have to have conversations with him sometimes about going to the doctor. And so, I got sometimes I got to get on him, but he's been doing good. So, when he hears this, Pop, I'm proud of you. But just being able to create those breakouts as we go, and again, just creating that ongoing connection. And again, I know other brothers that have wanted to do things, and you might be afraid. I've been, for a while, just like, what if nobody shows up? What if it doesn't work? And we just have to get to the point where we just do it. Yeah. We just do it. Whoever shows up, that's who God plans to be there. But I think that cliche, if you build it, they'll come. So we got to start somewhere. So, this was something that was on my heart for a while, and I know what my vision is that can come from it. But as you explained to me, just start.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just get that thing going, and then we'll see where we go from there. Right. Yeah. Listen,
but I'd like to be able to create those platforms, again, as we go forward. To have those experts be able to have additional events and workshops and things of that nature.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a loaded question out, and I know we've only got about 4 or 5 minutes, but I know you can handle it.
Okay.
You talked about one of the focuses of this experience, this momentum event, being empowerment and directing brothers to connections that can help revitalize their lives and create sustainability in their homes and marriages, et cetera, et cetera. But you also suggested something. I want to focus on that too, because I think this is extremely important. And you said this in relationship to your dad, who, by the way, is a living legend himself. Shout out to William Hampton out there. Some people call him Peanut.
Yeah.
But what's up, man? If you listening this afternoon, I'm gonna ride him a little bit too about making sure he sees the doctor.
Right.
I'm his senior, so I can do it. But here's the thing: accountability.
Yes.
That's such a huge thing with us, being accountable to ourselves and be accountable to our brothers, our families, and more. And that's such an important, I think, byproduct of the brothers coming together. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And being able to be receptive, to having your boy check you. Again, I am blessed to have a circle of guys that they hold me accountable. And we seek that from each other. We'll call, and if there's an issue, you'll say, hey man, am I tripping? And if you are, my guys will be like, yeah, bro, I don't agree with the way you handled that. Or, I don't, and I don't take that as, oh, well, you're not agreeing with me, so I'm not going to talk to you anymore. It's you surround yourself with those people who have your best interest, and if you're stepping off your square, they'll be willing to check you and say, no, we need to get back on track. And so again, the idea is to create those environments and create those relationships where we can look out for each other and create that village and that brotherhood where we keep each other in check to help our communities, our families overall.
Yeah, good stuff indeed. It's momentum. It's coming up real soon, folks. Now, you may say it's February now and it's not till June and or July. It's later in the year. No, it'll happen before you know it. So let's let people know where they can begin finding out information about this and how they can get themselves prepared to be a part of this event.
Okay. Well, for now, I have my Facebook and my Instagram. Facebook is Adrian Hargrove. Instagram is Adrian, I think it's Adrian _D_ Hargrove. Or is it Adrian _ Hargrove? I'm on there. You can track me down. But right now, that's kind of where I'll be starting to put information as I flesh it out. And then also with the men's ministry information on at Oakwood University Church.
Yeah, and shout out to you. I know you recently had an event with the men's ministry at First Church, and again, one thing I know about you is that you may be the men's ministry leader at Oakwood, but this is open to whoever wants to be down with this particular experience.
Everyone, my goal is to collaborate with other churches, other organizations. We, of course, with being with the Boys and Girls Club, we had a number of our teen boys from the club come out and do the vision boards. The men from the community that came out again, Reggie with Men's Night Huntsville, some Dean Mann from Oakwood University, Everett Roper, Avery Jacobs. We had a lot of guys come out and provide some mentorship for our young men. And again, that's kind of the blessing to be able to do what I do, because being able to be with the Boys and Girls Club as well as what I do with my men in the community, it's being able to bring us all together. And so the men in the community have been amazing coming out and supporting our young men at the club and in the community as well. And then this past Sunday, we recently had our first boxing session class at Rocket City boxing gym. Shout out to Alan Martin, who's doing something with our young men as well. So, our teen boys who, want to come in and get some exercise, we're inviting them out. So we'll be doing that for the next 5 weeks on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock.
So all they got to do is reach out to Adrian Hargrove on social media, and he will be the person to direct you to these resources that can certainly enhance the quality of your life. We look forward to all the wonderful things that are going on. And of course, as we get closer to momentum, we'll have you back on when some of the specific things are locked down and in place to really tease folk and get them really excited about being a part of this, because this is something that they don't want to miss. They may not even know that right now, but we're telling them now. They don't want to miss it, so they want to be a part of it. He's Adrian Hargrove, and oh my gosh, he's just doing everything out there, folks. He's currently the Chief Operations Officer at the Boys and Girls Club of North Alabama, He's a senior consultant and vice president of philanthropy and community involvement with Affinity Recruiting and Solutions, LLC. He's an anger and emotional management counselor with Aspire Counseling and the men's ministry leader at Oakwood University Church. You want to add any more titles, Emma?
No, not at all. No, I'm a humble servant.
Humble servant. I love that one best of all, of course. And of course, like my previous guest, I get to call you friend. So I'm looking forward to the next opportunity that we have to chop it up. Take care, my brother.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Adrian Hargrove joining us this afternoon for a very spirited conversation about his ministry that focuses on youth as well as men, and a big event. I'm not even going to call it a conference. It's a big fellowship, a big gathering called Momentum that's coming up in the month of June, July, in that particular range. But we'll get some more information about that as things transpire. I'm going to come back in just a moment with my next guest. But first, we're going to play a short transitional song and let you know who we are. And we'll be back in just a moment. I'm Kenny Anderson at Second Chance. I hope that you're having an amazing afternoon.
Why do we say praise 90.1 FM? Because the blessing is in the praise. Filling your day with songs of praise on Praise 90.1 FM.
Child, I'm gonna walk that milky white way. Child, one of these days. Child, I'm going to walk that milky white way. Child, one of these days. Well. Child, I'm gonna walk on up and take my stand. Child, I'm gonna join that Christian band. That's when we walk that milky white way. Child, one of these days.
Child, I'm gonna meet my loving mother. Oh, child, one of these days. Oh, yeah. Don't you know? Child, I'm gonna meet my loving mother. Oh, one of these days.
Well.
I'm going to walk on up and take her hand when we reach that promised land, where we walk that milky white way. Oh, child, one of these days.
One of these days. Child, I'm gonna meet God the Father and God the Son.
God and the Son.
Gonna meet God the Father and God the Son.
Going to meet.
I'm gonna meet God the Father and Son. When I'm gonna meet God the Father and God the Son.
God and the Son.
There's nothing that I want more than to see the Father and God the Son. When I get to heaven, I'm gonna see my mighty God and the Son who died for me. When I get to heaven, I'm gonna see the Father and the Son.
God and the Son. Going to see the Father. Meet with the Father. Don't you wanna see the Father? See the Father and see
Jesus and see my Jesus when we walk that milky white way. I don't know about you, but I'm going to meet I'm gonna walk that milky white way. Gonna see the Father and God, God and the Son. Going to see the Father, meet with the Father. Don't you wanna see the Father? Oh, see the Father. Don't you wanna see Him? See Jesus, and see my Jesus when we walk that milky white way. Going to meet, going to meet, going to meet, going to meet, God the Father and Son. Well, I'm gonna meet God the Father. Don't you wanna see Jesus? Won't you come and walk with me when we meet? Going to meet, going to meet, going to meet, going to meet, God and the
You know that the ice cream scoop has the power to make a child smile, and that by slowing us down, the traffic light can keep us going. You know that the golf tee brings friends together, that the mailbox keeps them connected. You know that the cataract laser helps you look to the future, while the pacemaker ensures that there's a future to be seen. You know that the lawnmower, the clothes dryer, and the elevator make life easier, that the blood bank makes life possible. You know that these things we count on every day started as ideas. But did you know all these ideas came from the minds of African Americans? Support minority education today so we don't miss out on the next big idea tomorrow. The United Negro College Fund, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Please visit uncf.org or call 1-800-332-UNCF. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Neither WJOU or its licensee, Oakwood University, necessarily share all the views expressed in its programs. They are, however, presented as public information.
Transforming
lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you are enjoying the conversations that we're having this afternoon. And perhaps you were listening to my last guest, Adrian Hargrove, who is currently doing a bunch of different things, but he's the Chief Operations Officer of the Boys and Girls Clubs of North Alabama and much more, including Men's Ministry Director at the Oakwood University Church, where they're going to be having a big Men's Momentum event. We expect to be telling you a lot more about that event as time moves on, and we look forward to having him back on at a future date. My next guest, and I'm very glad to have them on at this time, and of course, they are new to the broadcast as well, but after you hear what they have to share today, you will not be disappointed by the fact that they're doing the kinds of things that they're doing to keep you informed. This afternoon, Dwight and Sharonda Ware are here to talk about a special initiative called Chocolate Rocket City. I love the name, loved it ever since I first heard it. And we're going to learn all about where that came from and what it's designed to do and how you can be engaged in the process of learning more about the culture of our community. Dwight and Sharonda, how are you guys doing this afternoon?
Hi, Kenny. We're doing great. Good
Fabulous.
We're doing
Great
great.
and fabulous. I'll take it. Good to see you all this afternoon, and good to be able to share and talk with you on this. I keep saying the second Sunday of the month. This month is already moving by really, really rapidly, and we're already almost halfway into the month. I'm rocking my Negroes League uniform today because spring training starts just about 10 days from now. So that's my favorite sport, and I'm pretty excited about it. And also, it's a shout out to Black History Month. It also speaks to what you're doing with Chocolate Rocket City, because one of the things that I am most encouraged by and inspired by knowing about this resource is that people don't have to be in the dark when it comes to finding ways to get plugged in to the community. Talk to me a little bit about how this initiative began.
Well, great. So when we moved to the Huntsville area almost 6 years ago, we had an interest in going out and doing fun things. And a lot of things we do tend to be related to African American culture and events. And so as we started to venture out, we saw there was a lot of things to do in Huntsville, a lot of things. And people that we know would see like pictures on social media and say, oh, I didn't know about that, or I wish I could have gone, or worse, something would be on the same night and you'd be conflicted about which thing to go to. And so we came up with the idea of having an online calendar to share events with and go beyond people who don't use social media, but also want to know more about things in the community.
Yeah, and the other thing is the name came from DC, which was Chocolate City, which is where we moved from, the DMV. And then we moved here to Huntsville, which is Rocket City. So we combined the two. There's also a little culture flavor mixed in there, and the mix and the combination of the names equals Chocolate Rocket City. And if you want, I can go upstairs and get my Baltimore Black Sox. If you want.
He didn't get the memo. I didn't get the memo.
I just wore black.
Right.
But I mean,
good enough.
We wanted to emphasize that chocolate comes in many different flavors. It's not always just strictly African Americans, Caribbean Americans, a lot of Latino things. Like most of the things are from the African continent, but a lot of music comes from the African continent. So we enjoy hip hop, we enjoy R&B, gospel, reggae, soca. I mean, just a random, range, and it's not always
and go from DC.
Hasn't been as much go stuff, but I mean, like we've gone to things like the Northern Alabama War Dogs. They have professional basketball in Huntsville. A lot of people don't realize we have so many things that are not just sports, not just music, not just dance, not just parties, fancy galas, brunches. It's just church services, special speakers. So we enjoy all of it, and we want folks to come out and support.
This is really, I think, an example of what I have shared with people so many times over the years when people have said, what's happening? Why isn't something being done with such and such another, that kind of thing? You came here from a different environment where culturally the experience was different. The vibe was different. You wanted to add and enhance to the community that you are now becoming a part of. And so rather than waiting for somebody else to start Chocolate Rocket City or whatever it might be, you decided to jump in head first and do that. What has the response been to what you've done so far? Because you have quite a few people following the page right now, and I hope you get another, few thousand after today who want to pick it up and really learn about what's going on, because no one can ever tell me nothing's going on in Huntsville. And then when people start saying nothing's going on, when a person of color says that to me, nothing's going on that really relates to my culture, I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. And then I give them a whole list of stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, I had no idea. So you guys are really filling a need. What has the response been like so far?
It's been great. I've left out a really huge one that you are very involved in, which is Jazz in the Park. An amazing, completely unique, event and free. I mean, September is just booked. September is spoken for in Huntsville.
Yeah.
So I would say that as far as the response, one good example is that my birthday happens to be in September, and we were able to celebrate it during one of the Jazz in the Park, and it's just phenomenal. I feel like it's a way of connecting, especially having gone through COVID. for people to just be able to kind of like see each other and enjoy each other, enjoy things together. I think the response has been pretty good.
It's been very positive. We had an event, our first ticketed event, Bingo and Beats, and was a little bit different than your grandma's bingo, where we just have numbers. With our bingo, you had music, and you had our music. You had R&B, hip hop. We had music from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010, and then we had a special round with slow jams. So
I mean, the event was sold out. It was at Studio 53 on Maston Lake, and now we have to actually expand it for the sequel. The sequel is coming up on April 12th. It's going to be at the Bob Harrison Center, and the capacity is probably triple. So we're looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, but what we learned from the response was that we were expecting to see many of our acquaintances, friends there, but a majority of the crowd we didn't know. So that was a testament to the response to Chocolate Rocket City. There is more than and there are more than just our friends that are on there. It's people who are looking for things to do in Huntsville, and good, clean fun in Huntsville.
Interactive fun.
Yes.
Yeah, good, clean, interactive fun with a mature audience and people who are going to be responsible to the space that they're in. You did say that the event took place at Studio 63?
53. Studio
53. That is yeah. So that's a Black-owned facility, and that was my next question. So you have a Black-owned company in terms of the Chocolate Rocket City. You created this virtual space that people can actually engage and interact with, that speaks to cultural events, a broad range of cultural events. And then you held the event, your first ticketed event, at a Black-owned business. My question is Black History Month. And one of the things I've been talking to a lot of people about, with all the energy that's pushing back against these kinds of things, I think it's more important than ever before that Black people unite, support one another, and help to build brands as a consequence of that. And I just wonder what your thoughts were about that whole notion of how we go about doing that.
Absolutely. I think you have to be intentional. I think you have to be strategic, and I think you have to collaborate. I love what the brother Adrian Hargrove was saying about collaborating and different things he's interested in. And that's the same attitude that we had. Like when we looked at that event, all of our vendors happen to be Black-owned businesses, and that was intentional. Our caterer, our DJ, the bartender, the space itself was owned by a Black-owned company. And I think we have so much economic power that we can utilize and, just try to look at first. Our church, actually, St. Mark Remarkable Church, is actually pushing forward a ministry on entrepreneurial members. Like entrepreneurship is being promoted and supported, and they're creating a directory so that business owners that are members, when you're looking to hire a certain type of company, you might look at that directory first, knowing that members of the church would prosper, from getting that business.
Yeah, and we've also partnered with a few Black-owned businesses, with Studio 53. We also done different events, such as Winter Fizz with the Sage Lounge.
Yeah.
And we've sponsored Jazz in the Park, Start New, and the Homecoming Renaissance, where we're just trying to promote other vendors that are, we're all trying to make it. And we're also the type of people who aren't into the competition. We're into promoting. We like to see not just us win, we like to see everybody win. So, anyone that feels that they can, we can assist them in any way besides financially, we are willing to do that.
Well, can I add on that, Kenny? Because
sure.
I feel like, right now, we are talking about economic empowerment and collaboration. And I think there's been a lot, said about, recent events, even within the federal government. And that, there tends to be even a high percentage of African Americans that are, employed or directly related to the, federal government as an employer. And that's where the entrepreneurship really, plays a part, and just being able to have other streams of income and other ways of supporting our families. That makes it even that much more important, because there is a lot of uncertainty that has been brought about recently, and we have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am so sold out as I have been. Recent events have not inspired me. I think what they've done is they've motivated me more to be, as you said earlier, intentional in what I'm doing. So I'm one of those people now too, and I'm always real proud of it. I kind of sit down every now and then. I think about the fact that, my dentist is African American, my general practitioner is African American. I just go down this list because I'm very intentional.
My wife is African American.
Tell my business.
You my children.
And how important, right? And how important that is. And I wonder if you all have children, and your children are experiencing varying degrees of education right now in terms of high school to college, and they of course are experiencing life as it is being handed to them as well, and they're beginning to perhaps understand a little bit more about the responsibilities of young adulthood and the impending responsibilities that come on the other side of college. Do you all have conversations with them about these kinds of things in terms of the conscientiousness and the intentionality about where we invest and how we invest and how we support one another?
You want to go? Or?
Yeah, I think it's just so timely that you mentioned that, because we talked with them a lot about that. Making sure that, as they launch, 2 out of our 3 kids are in college, and
one's at Alabama, one's at Auburn.
Yeah.
So
that's a whole nother
whole nother thing.
But just in terms of when it comes to money management and building a solid foundation of taking care of your resources, and then where you direct those resources, and not being frivolous with your spending, or spending our money too. We just recently had a conversation with them about that. So it's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah. And, we're also talking to them about the transition that we're having in this nation. And we're saying how important it is for them, 1, to get their education, and 2, to look out for one another. Not just your blood brother and sister, but your entire family.
Yeah.
We also brought in our nephew who's staying with us. He's a senior in high school. And we're talking to him about, getting ready for college and determining what college he wants to go to. That will be a good fit for him to launch him into to beyond high school. But we also know the importance of the transition, because the things that we grew up on, the things that were helpful to us, may not necessarily be there for them. I'm concerned about an opportunity my middle son had last year with a program at his school that may not be there for my nephew, who's just 1 year behind him to get. So,
well, it does seem like our younger 2 who are not yet in college are definitely emphasizing, a preference towards HBCUs, knowing that, it's like we have to have each other's back. We have to help our own. And that's just the real reality of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you in the last few minutes that we have, what do you think the future of Chocolate Rocket City is? Where do you see yourself growing and expanding?
Your questions are absolutely on point. Chocolate Rocket City right now is it's the Callender, it's the social club as far as the group on Facebook, and then there's their own Facebook page and an Instagram page. So a lot of things are virtual, and we're just kind of starting out with events. But one of the things we wanted to do was to have smaller settings, like more frequent events, and making sure that people are able to know each other offline and able to connect. And sometimes these social connections lead to business connections and collaborations. the social club right now it's all completely free. All information is free, but there may be opportunities to like upgrade to paid memberships that include certain events or allow for additional like communication. Because some people have said they want to do, automatic text. I want to know what my weekend's like. I want to make sure my date night is planned with my wife every week or my husband every week or something like that. And those kind of tools do have a cost to them, which we would need to be able to cover with any kind of like membership dues and things like that. So that in the future is coming up, and I think it's going to allow us to grow, and not just the same group of folks. Because I have heard this. Some people say, "Oh, it's only the same people that go out. You see the same people." There's more people who want to come out and they don't know what's out there, and they kind of want to. They're a little trepidatious, and we want to kind of bring those environments to them so they can kind of have a peek in and preview and feel like it's a safe space for them to be able to be social and know that we're there and we're inviting them. We welcome them to feel comfortable. And another shout out I forgot to make was to Huntsville Levity Live. We have found amazing comedians coming through here, really big name stars that we used to see in DC for like triple the money. And sometimes I wish,
and less access to.
Yeah, like there's such an intimate setting. So we might be doing more shows that are specific to the group as the group grows, and events that's geared just to the group, or being a group within bigger events that folks can go together with us, come with us.
Yeah, and we also feel that there's a bigger purpose, especially during this time. We want people to be excited about what's happening and not always feel down about the pressures of what's happening on the news. So looking for events that are fun, that people can, have a freedom of mind to go out and enjoy themselves and look forward to different events. So that's one of our purposes with Chocolate Rocket City. The other thing I also want to note, she mentioned a calendar, and if you go to chocolaterocketcity.com, there is a calendar, and it shows the upcoming events, and you just click on the day and it will bring up the event, and it also shows you you can just click there for the ticket, and it'll take you right to the page to get the ticket. That's been very helpful to me because a lot of times she has traveled in the past and I didn't know what to do on a Saturday night. So I would actually go to chocolaterocketcity.com and go to the calendar and say, "Oh, what's going on?" and go to the event.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like her when she's not here. So
Right. Well, listen.
Some events don't have tickets online. That's something that we also help in organizations to do.
Yeah, this is, I think, such an important piece, especially with our city continuing to grow and evolve, and people coming here from so many places where lots of things typically take place, and they kind of expect that to be happening in the largest city in the state of Alabama, and a city that's kind of, wedged in between places like Birmingham and Nashville, Atlanta, Memphis. So what's happening in Huntsville? And the answer is a whole lot.
Yeah.
And we need places like Chocolate Rocket City to be able to find out what's going on. And as we begin to close, tell people again, where can they find this information and get connected to what's going on in our community?
Absolutely. Like Dwight said, it's www.chocolaterocketcity, nothing in between, just chocolaterocketcity.com. online, and in the social media groups on Facebook, it's Chocolate Rocket City. There's a social group you can apply to, become a part of, or you can just go to our page, Chocolate Rocket City, and also Instagram is at Chocolate Rocket City.
So I really want people, I want people to really pay attention to that and the free access to that, because what I'm going to start doing is monetizing the request for information about what's going on when it comes directly to me. It won't cost you anything to go to Chocolate Rocket City, but I'm going to start charging a fee when they come to me and ask me what's going on, because we're telling you right now, like chocolaterocketcity.com. I mean, that's all you got to do. And you'll know exactly what's going on. You can also go to the social media page. Come on, y'all. I know y'all are using Facebook. So come on, just like the page. It will take a whole lot of edge off of your anxiety about not having anything to do or not knowing things or learning about things in hindsight. Come on. Let's make sure that this is happening in a proactive, productive way for all of our community. Dwight and Sharonda Ware, it's been great talking to you guys. I want to have y'all come back on and talk about what you're doing and how things are progressing. And if you got really, really big things happening, we may want to have you come back and talk about the bingo event and how people can get plugged into that. Because the other thing I know about you guys is you're always thinking about something outside of yourselves. It's not just about doing this for yourself. It's really all about enhancing the quality of life of people around you. So we appreciate you for doing that. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. And we will be at the Women's Expo at the end of March. So we hope to meet a lot of people there as well.
Yes.
That's awesome. And that'll be a couple more thousand people that connect with the page.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you all soon.
Thank
you. Take care, Kenny.
All right. Take care. Dwight and Sharonda Ware, what a great opportunity to talk to them this afternoon. They're really kind of a power couple because they're really making some good things happening in our community in a very creative space. And I hope that you'll take advantage of connecting with them. I'm going to come back in just a moment with more of the broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. I hope you're having an amazing afternoon.
Is there any way that I can make it? Seems I've got so far to go. Though it may not be easy, I have this assurance that you promised always to see me through. Every turn a new beginning, something never dealt with before. There I am in the midst of a storm, and I cry, Lord, I just want to die, Lord. Then I fall, Lord, right back in your loving arms. Seeing each mountain I have climbed, knowing it was really you.
me. Save a space for me in your heart.
Every year, the United Negro College Fund helps thousands of students go to college. But for everyone we help, there's one we can't, not without the funds.
Save a place for me.
Please support the United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Call 1-800-332-UNCF.
A message from the Ad Council.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
I hope that you enjoyed my conversation with Dwight and Sharonda Ware. ChocolateRocketCity.com is where you want to go to find out what's happening in our community. You may hop over there and find something interesting that you definitely want to be a part of. They got some fun things going on, some social things, some cultural things, and so much more. So we hope that you'll take advantage of the website, which is ChocolateRocketCity.com. And we hope that you'll also check them out on social media at Chocolate Rocket City, where you can get lots of information. Shout out to them and thank you once again. They were indeed sponsors of Jazz in the Park, Huntsville 2024. And we certainly appreciate it. We cannot do those kinds of things without the support of great partners like Dwight and Sharonda through Chocolate Rocket City. On last Sunday, I began doing something I think I'm going to do on a regular basis because it just kind of occurred to me, hey, Kenny, you're a big book reader. And one of the things I love to do is not just read, but also to compare notes with those who are reading certain books and also to make great book suggestions, things that are relevant to people and that can be beneficial and helpful to them. And I talked on last week about a book that was just released by our good friend, Catherine Coleman, Flowers. And I thought I would follow that up this week with a book that I'm going to be recommending that I'm reading. These are not books that are just sitting on my shelf. They're going to be books that I have begun reading or I'm in the process of reading or anticipate reading. And this one is called, the title is Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And the subtitle is What the Most Effective People Do Differently. Everyone communicates, few connect. What the most effective people do differently. It's written by none other than leadership guru John Maxwell, New York Times bestselling author. He's written many, many books. I'm a John Maxwell guru, even though I don't have that certification a lot of people have from signing up and becoming John Maxwell consultants and more. But certainly read everything that he produces. Just give a little bit of the taste of the table of contents. Two main parts. Part one, connecting principles. Connecting increases your influence in every situation. Connecting is all about others. Connecting goes beyond words. Connecting always requires energy. And connecting is more skill than natural talent. Part two, connecting practices. Connectors connect on common ground. Connectors do the difficult work of keeping it simple. Connectors create an experience everyone enjoys. Connectors inspire people, and connectors live what they communicate. Hold the book up here. There it is right there. That's the book, or one of the books that I'm reading right now. Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, with the subtitle, What the Most Effective People Do Differently. I'm just really excited about the fact that this book is available to anyone who may want to take advantage of it. I certainly would highly recommend it. And I'm going to probably be recommending a book every time we come on. So 52 weeks out of the year, I'm going to recommend a book that I think would be interesting. for you to read. I've got lots and lots of books in my library. And of course, I, on a regular basis, can be found reading a book because it literally is one of my favorite things to do. So we're going to make sure that we keep you up to speed on what's happening as far as the book sphere. That's what we'll call it, the book sphere. Mentioned early in the broadcast, the book, The Body Keeps the Count. That, of course, is a book that talks about how trauma impacts our lives and talks about a variety of ways in which we actually go through life ignoring certain signals or having experienced certain things that inevitably will shut us down if we don't either acknowledge it or address it or make adjustments in response to whatever the thing might be. And so that is an awesome book as well. And it will be one of the books that I'll recommend at some point because I'm also reading that book at this time. All right. Everyone communicates, few connect. What the most effective people do differently by John Maxwell. If you are not benefiting from the live stream experience where I'm actually showing the book right now, and people can take a quick screenshot if they want to and make sure that they know the name of it. I'm going to play a short song for you at this time. And I'm going to come back with more of the broadcasts as we begin to wrap things up for today. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. I hope that you're having a magnificent afternoon.
This time I want y'all to help us do it. Lift your hands in this atmosphere and say, I am grateful. For the things that you have done. Look at them and tell them, yes, I'm grateful. The victories that we've won. Tell them I could go on and on. About your works. Because I'm grateful. So grateful just to praise you, Lord. Lift your hands and say, flowing from my heart.
The music of Hezekiah Walker and Grateful, one of my favorite songs. I hope that you enjoyed that this afternoon. We're rapidly moving towards the end of the broadcast today. We've got just a few minutes left, but I'm going to go ahead and chat for just a few moments with Jessica Fortune Barker. She, of course, I shouldn't say of course, some of you may not know her, but if you don't know her, shame on you. She's founder and lead organizer of Lift Our Vote. She's president of the Alabama Association for the Arts Incorporated and CEO of Affluent Business Consulting, LLC. She's a remarkable person and somebody that you should know. And we want to just spend the next 5 minutes and then maybe bring you back at another time to have a longer conversation. Jessica, how you doing this afternoon?
Good afternoon. I am doing great. I'm grateful. Absolutely.
That is fantastic. Well, let's press forward. The Selma Jubilee 60th anniversary is coming up, and we wanted to let the people know a little bit about what that is and how they can get more information about it. So talk to us a little bit about why this is something that people should put on their calendars.
Yes, so we are excited to be engaging in the upcoming 60th Selma to Montgomery commemoration. It is an opportunity to engage around not just civil rights and the history as we know it and as we're understanding it, but it's an opportunity for people to galvanize around what is currently happening in today's political climate and the need to continue the fight that even took place in the 60s during the civil rights movement and what that could look like today as we are still fighting back against civil and social justices and rights. And so we're taking that journey on March 8th through the 9th down to Selma, Alabama. It is going to be an amazing opportunity. You can get more information at selmajubilee.com. It has a list of over 40 activities and events that will be taking place. We will be departing Huntsville on 6 a.m. on the Saturday morning, March 8th, as we take that journey down there to participate in all the different activities going on.
So let me ask you this question, because on February the 1st, we celebrated the 65th anniversary of the Greensboro sit-ins. And it was very significant in terms of the civil rights movement, in terms of bringing younger people into the movement, making sure that people really understood that activism was necessary in order to bring about change. And in just the first, not even month of this new administration, we're here on February the 9th. I mean, we're really just 3 weeks or so into the new administration. So much upheaval, so much confusion, so much disruption has taken place in terms of this regressive effort to turn the hands of time back. What will the significance of that be for this commemoration this year?
And it's interesting. I was just having a conversation with a colleague from FAMU, and right now everyone is in a state of confusion. They don't know what is right, what is wrong. They don't know what policies they can still be in alignment with and which ones need to be changed. And so we have to even center around that movement that took place in the 60s, in which the students were very active and critical forefront of that movement and of speaking up and using their voices. We have to go back to galvanizing the decisions that our current administration is making are decisions that are impacting so many different levels and aspects of our society. This is not just a racial issue. DEI right now is like what the mainstream headlines are pushing, but this goes beyond that. Because even when you look at what is happening with the labor force, with these rollbacks in the policies regarding DEI, you have to look at how that is impacting the labor and the working class, but how that impacts the distributors and the suppliers and the manufacturers, and how that goes on to impact even these large corporations. And so when you really start looking at how these current attacks not only are trying to regress us from where we were in the 60s and put us back to prior to the 60s, but it's also taking away from our current rights and where we stand as a society today. And so it's very important to not only understand that history, but to take something from the lessons that were learned in that history, because in that march that we're about to galvanize around with the 60th Selma to Montgomery commemoration, even in that, from that, the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act was passed a couple of months after they successfully crossed that bridge back in 1965. Lyndon B. Johnson signed that into act. And so that just goes to show that when we truly galvanize together, regardless of race, across all sectors of society, change really can be made. And right now, guys, it's time to galvanize to create change.
So in the last few minutes that we have in this moment, we'll try to get you on our next show in a couple of weeks so we can talk a little bit more about this, because I think this is such an important and relevant conversation that needs to be had. How do we move to make sure, and I know it's an individual thing at the end of the day, but how do we make sure that what happens in this moment is more than just symbolic? So many times in the past, people have engaged in these spaces, and rightly so. We need to commemorate, we need to acknowledge, we need to memorialize, we need to do a lot of different things. But again, it just seems like this is a moment that requires a specific call to action that may have multiple branches. And I'm just wondering, is there some thought being given, or has thought been given to just how that looks when people come and gather, acknowledge what has happened, talk about where we are, experience the energy of the space that we're in right now, whatever that energy looks like, and then go back into our homes and our communities and make an impact? What does that look like?
So two things have to happen from all of these different groups gathering together. One is it's going to show that the will of the people need to take place, because there's power in numbers, right? And so again, when you have these different sectors, regardless of if they're multimillionaire or if they are from the low socioeconomic background, it's going to take all these voices to, one, put pressure on our legislative branch, because there's some decisions that they have to make and some things that they have to do to halt some of these decisions that are being made by our executive branch. But two, we have to show the executive branch that the decisions that you are making are not only putting you all in a great space, but it is impacting us so much so that eventually it's going to break even the positions that they hold, right? And so we just have to make sure that we are using these moments not just to, like you said, galvanize and talk about the issues, but to create action plans in how we're going to move forward in our own respective communities, but how that is going to look as a movement, because that is the only way that change is going to take place against the powers that be, that have the money right now. It's going to have to be the will of the people. And right now it's just so critical that regardless of where you stand politically, that you look at how this is impacting you from the space that you hold when you go home, from the space that you hold when you show up in your office or at work or on your job, from the space that you hold for these students when you show up to your school. How is this truly impacting you? And use that to do something.
It won't be long now. The weekend of March 7th to 9th is coming up very, very soon and very, very quickly. So we want people to definitely get on board. If you have a graphic that kind of advertises this opportunity to go, please send that to me also. We'd love to be able to share that through the Second Chance platform. But it's all about the Selma Jubilee 60th anniversary. This experience might have looked a little bit different just a few months ago, but it looks completely different now for lots of different reasons. And I think, again, if we see this as nothing more than a commemoration or a symbolic moment, we're missing an opportunity for calls to action that are essential in this day and time. She's Jessica Fortune Barker. She's made us all proud because since she was very young, she's been one of those people out on the front lines and a pioneer and trailblazer. She continues to be that. And Jessica, I'm so proud of your success. She's founder and lead organizer for Lift Our Vote. She's president of the Alabama Association for the Arts Incorporated, and she's CEO of Affluent Business Consulting, LLC. Like I said, we've got to have you back to kind of talk about all those things because it's all a part of what makes you who you are. But thank you in this moment. Again, people can get information about the Selma Jubilee 60th anniversary where?
At selmajubilee.com.
That is fantastic. And I would suggest, folks, listen, everybody's not going to be able to go, but as many people from different communities as possible need to go, because that shows support, that shows unity, that shows the desire to move the conversation forward to actionable steps where we're pushing against and resisting against the regressive things that are taking place in our nation today that are damaging lots of people's lives and diminishing the quality of life for so many people who are now living in a state of anxiety and perpetual fear. We've got to hold the fort, folks. We've got to fight back against these evils in the world today. Jessica, thank you for being with us today. We look forward to having another conversation with you in the near future.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Jessica Fortune Barker rounds things off for us today, folks, and we're so glad to have had that conversation. I tell you, a lot of people are worked up about what's going on in the world, but there are places and spaces where people can come together and process what you're feeling and also figure out what happens next. I'll be back in just a moment to tell you about what's happening next week. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. Hope you're having a great day.
Perhaps you have some ideas, comments, or suggestions that you would like to share. Or perhaps you'd like to be a guest on the broadcast. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to email Kenny Anderson at mxlife@aol.com, or you can like us on the Second Chance Facebook page. That's 2ND Chance. And now, back to more of Second Chance with Kenny Anderson.
Thank you for being a part of our broadcast on today, beginning with Dr. Michael Brown, founder and president of MBD Consulting Agency, LLC, discussing active shooter responses and church security. We appreciate him for providing all that great information for us today. Adrian Hargrove, who is currently Chief Operations Officer of the Boys and Girls Clubs of North Alabama and also the men's ministry leader at Oakwood University Church, discussing a big initiative called Momentum coming up this summer. That you can be a part of, and we hope that you'll choose to do that. We also talk with Dwight and Sharonda Ware, the creators of ChocolateRocketCity.com. We hope that you'll go there to find out information about all kinds of good stuff that's going on in our city. And also, very happy to talk with Jessica Fortune Barker, who's the founder and lead organizer of Lift Our Vote, president of the Alabama Association for the Arts Incorporated, and CEO of Affluent Business Consulting, LLC, a mover and a shaker indeed. On next Sunday, it's What's Going On, my social and political roundtable discussion. I hope to be able to have a great conversation on next week about whatever's going on in the world today. You will not want to miss it. In the meantime, have a great rest of the week. Remember, as always, knowledge is better than riches. Have a great afternoon, and we'll talk again soon. Good day.
Thank you for tuning in to Second Chance. We hope that the information that was shared has been a blessing to you and that your life will be enriched as a result of it. We'd love to hear from you. So please send your email comments to Kenneth Anderson at mxlife@aol.com. That's mxlife@aol.com. And check out our Facebook page, 2ND Chance. That's 2ND Chance. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good day.